Good afternoon, Fabian Onetti for Winston Capital Advisors. Give me a second. There you go. And we're going to cover the week of March 4 and March to March 8. And let's start with the market. The market corrected 2.2%, the S&P on the week, and most markets corrected. Lack of news in a way. Maybe the delay on the deal with China and the United States. But also, there were some bad numbers in China. We're going to talk about that later. But export and import numbers in China. But after the market's been up 11% year to date and 16 since the bottom of December, just a 2% correction makes sense. Also, the employment report on Friday, we're going to talk about that. But before that, let's go to the big things of the week. I would say Venezuela, which we always follow. The saga continues. Top by the end of the week with a massive blackout, the whole country without electricity, part of the mismanagement, blames here and there. But the interesting thing is that, as most people estimate, they're thinking about $160 billion of debt that needs to be restructuring at some point between China, Russia, bondholders, etc. So that's something that, clearly it will be there on the focus. No changes so far. There is I think on Monday, Guaido came back to the country. That was a big surprise. As I say, if I were Maduro, the big thing is for not let anybody in, let the president in exile talks from there, but not in my own country. So him being back is very important, but still the situation is not quite resolved. I mean, my view is our view is that, I think that the military doesn't want to get involved, and in a way, they might see Guaido as an invasion. The Americans or any other country gets involved, they will see an invasion to the country. And the armies in any country, whether you're left or right, they're basically nationalistic. So that's why they might not completely support Maduro, as you see by, Guaido coming in and others, but also not willing to completely give up on him, at least for now. So that's on one side. The other big news of the week was the European Central Bank on Thursday. Obviously, did not touch rates, but also made a comment that the increase in rates that was expected for the summer now will be next year. And it cut the estimates 1.7 to 1.1 on GDP and 1.6 to 1.2 in inflation. And it's going to come back to some sort of stimulus. The famous, what they call QE, they call TLTRO. They're going to keep, spending more money, which in a way send the news in Europe, that kind of the market sort of knew, but that, growth is not coming anytime soon. By the way, the 10-year bond is at 0.04%, so very close to go negative. And remember, the 10-year bond, or the German bond, like the US Treasury, is one of the key world benchmarks in terms of rates. So if they go negative, clearly the market is telling us that they are they don't have a lot of hope for European growth. At least in the short term. We're thinking 1% is okay, but that's where we are. So that's the market, central bank, Venezuela. China, there were some very bad numbers on exports, down 20%, triple the estimates. Imports down 5%. There wasn't a statistical issue because of Chinese New Year and whatever, but somehow people was very surprised. It's a lot of comment on the press. We cannot get a proper reading. The Shanghai stock market was down 4% on Friday, kind of following the news. But we still cannot get a grip whether it's a super meaningful number or not. On the other hand, remember, commodities have been rallying year to date. Oil, copper, other metals, which shows that there is good consumption from China. But these numbers were very, very rare. I'm talking about rare numbers. We have 20,000 jobs created last Friday. The market was expected 180. But funny enough, they changed January from 308 to 311,000. And also the unemployment rate, which is taken by a different system, it went from 4% to 3.7%. So a lot of noise in the numbers. The market did not quite react, neither with the Chinese numbers, with the employment numbers. I think we need more data. And the numbers were so off the mark that I think are creating the confusion and a little bit of credibility problem, if you ask us. So that's there. And good news, SpaceX was managed to land a capsule that eventually will take humans. So the Americans will be back in bringing humans to space. Looks like in July it will be the first thing that is there. Remember, we changed the hour. It's now 4 o'clock, 1 hour ahead for everybody. And that's all we have. Remember, you can always find us in our page, Winston.capital, and every day live for our clients at 9:45 a.m. Have a great day. Great week.